Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to host today a special guest, Mr. Reinhard Kloucek, who is Secretary General of Pan-European Union. Mr. Kloucek, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for the invitation.
Mr. Kloucek, so we are heading towards the fourth anniversary of the Russian invasion against Ukraine. Today, the head of the Georgian parliament made a remark when he was questioned about the progress which were made by Ukraine and Moldova towards European integration. He suggested that the progress of Moldova and Ukraine lies in the quality of flattering European bureaucrats, what actually Ukraine and Moldova are currently doing. But in terms of economic prosperity, economic progress, Georgia is doing much better than Moldova and Ukraine. Obviously, Ukraine joined a free roaming zone as well as Moldova, and it's really a great advantage for refugees and people who had to leave Ukraine or went for the business purposes. Obviously, it's advantage. Secondly, Moldova joined single European payment area. Ukraine is going to join. But generally, the membership in European Union lies far away still. You know, we don't have concrete date, etc. So do you agree with the head of Georgian parliament that the greatest achievement Ukraine and Moldova made is in the quality of flattering European bureaucrats?
Well, I would not listen to what anybody from the Georgian parliament says, especially when he's from the ruling party there, which is an anti-European party. And of course, they try to split all the others from this region who want to join the European Union. But as you mentioned, there is no concrete date. Yes, there is no concrete date, although there are some rumors that von der Leyen or others said 2030 or even earlier could be. I don't speculate about dates. There is a progress. We have to negotiate. And I think the Ukraine and also Moldova are on the way to the European Union. Georgia is not.
Yeah, but when we are talking about European integration, we talk for at least for the last, let's say, 10, 15, 20 years. And let's say Turkey used also to express its desire to join European Union. And now Erdogan mentioned that Turkey doesn't want to join European Union. And we see that nowadays, European Union is really under severe critics from United States, etc. So, is still European Union an attractive project for the accession? And is still European Union is ready to take Ukraine on board, you know, for the membership, bearing in mind Russian invasion and the situation with the economy, which was destroyed by Russian invaders?
The European Union is still attractive. I mean, there are countries, not only Ukraine or Moldova, but also the so-called Western Baltic countries who want to join the European Union, which is a clear sign that it is still attractive. I mean, the way to the European, or the other question is, as you mentioned, is the European Union ready to take new members? And about that topic, we have a lot of discussions from different positions and opinions in the European Union, because, and that's true, we also need some kind of inner reform in the European Union, especially now under the threat, not only from Russia, I would say also from the whole axis of the evil, so from Moscow to Beijing and Tehran, and on the other side, the very strange new security strategy of the United States. Many people start thinking about making European Union a closer foreign and security community. So not only economy, but more political.
If we're talking about progress being made in terms of securing Ukrainian security, yesterday the declaration of intention was signed by President of Ukraine as well as leaders of Britain and France, Mr. Starmer and Mr. Macron. And we both know that the declaration of the intention is a non-binding document, that actually you can sign numerous such documents and they won't be, let's say, binding for the people, for the countries or for the parties which signed this document, as well as we can recall a Budapest Memorandum, which was also signed, but actually it was not enacted when the Russian invasion came. Also, Ukraine signed 26 security agreements with different states, including United States, during the last several years. And now nobody remembers about these security agreements because they also were written as, let's say, declarations of intentions, so without any enforcement clause. So, President Aliyev, the president of Azerbaijan, just told during his press conference that today there is no international law. Only your own strength matters, the way you can establish partnership and align cooperation, how much allies you have. So maybe, Ukraine has to build alliances with Poland, Turkey, some other states which are capable to protect Ukraine, then to try to establish alliances with the organizations consist of different states with different perspectives on the Russian invasion towards Ukraine, and different interests.
Well, Aliyev is right when he says, he's not right when he says there's no international law, but he's right when he would say international law is under threat. That's true. I mean, what Trump did in Venezuela was against international law, and what he's now doing with Denmark and saying that Greenland belongs to us is also far away from what we call international law and regulations. Yes, of course, Ukraine needs to have allies and form alliances, and the European Union is one of the allies. I mean, think about the financing of Ukraine from money from the European Union. If countries in the European Union, and now I'm not talking about the European Union, but about member states, then are ready for security guarantees, which are more than a signature on a paper, and that would mean, in consequence, boots on the ground, is a second question. We heard Macron talking about that 2 years ago, and nothing happened. It's easy for him to bomb something in Syria, but he's not ready to send troops or more weapons to Ukraine. So we have to force them to do more on that question.
Mr. Kloucek, if we're talking about the position of United States are extremely critical about European Union in terms of the freedom of speech, censorship, etc. And this is really a great issue, and there was an article published by Economist about that nowadays in European Union, for different reasons, the laws became more stricter in terms of the expression in the social media, in terms of the expression on different conventional medias, etc. So, do you see here a problem when trying to fight such dragon as the Russian Federation? Actually, we can turn to a dragon as well,
Yes, there are stricter regulations, and these stricter regulations are made because of the disinformation which is coming from Moscow and other countries. I would not say that there is no free speech in the European Union. I mean, what the Americans are doing is they support a group or a party called the Patriots for Europe. These people have nothing to do with Europe, and they are not patriots. They are bloody nationalists. They are all on the side of Putin, and they want to reduce the European Union. So their name is completely misinformation, disinformation. What they do, they commit high treason on Europe and on their own countries. And so if the United States think that this is their allies, then I think somebody got lost in Washington.
Well, in Washington, we also see that President Trump, he goes against media, criticizing them that they criticize him. In the United States, we also have many problems about freedom of speech, or at least the way President Trump treats freedom of speech. But coming back to Europe, this is a very tricky thing, and I hear this in Ukraine and in Moldova. When you stand against European integration, for instance, you obviously are treated as a Russian agent or a pro-Russian sympathetic, etc. Especially in Moldova, we see it. When people they, for instance, criticize the Moldovan choice to join the European Union, these people are stigmatized as someone who are in favor of Russia, let's say. But at the same time, these people, they are against Russia, but they're against the European Union as well. So they want, let's say, a sovereign choice for Moldova. Maybe this is a mistake, because personally, I think that European Union, Moldova has to join the European Union. But when these people automatically stigmatized as in Russian agents, it's also a violation of the freedom of speech. So what do you think about this when nowadays, when you, let's say, are against the mainstream, when you're against, let's say, enlargement of European Union, or you're against Moldovan accession to European Union, you immediately become or treated as a Russian agent?
It's no problem to be against the enlargement of the European Union, in the European Union. I mean, there are many people who are against it, and the fact that we didn't have new enlargement in the previous years is because of these people, because they are against it and always find something to block something or block a country, etc., etc. I don't know about Moldova. I don't know the details about Moldova. We had Commissioner Kos from Slovenia here in Austria for the speech on the freedom, and she reported about her talks in Moldova that especially from some groups there is disinformation coming against the European Union, but not because they are Russian spies, but because they were misinformed by other people. So we have to make the difference between disinformation, misinformation, and make clear who is standing on which side. Of course, also in Moldova, you should be able to be against the European Union. It's their decision to join the European Union. Yeah? But there has been an election, and there is a president who is pro-EU, and the majority was also pro-EU. So why do they complain?
I asked these questions, I addressed these questions to members of Moldovan parliament from the ruling party, President Maia Sandu. I made an interview with her advisors about this as well, because I extremely appreciate Ms. Sandu as a president. She's really great. I mean, the way she behaved, etc., as a president. And Ms. Sandu supports Ukraine and President Zelensky, and this is really very cool that we have such close relationship with Moldova. But just for me, I just want to make clear, because when, let's say, some medias were shut down in Moldova because of Russian invasion to Ukraine, and these media were suspected that they are financed by Russia or they are pro-Russian, but in fact they criticized the government, but they were closed by not clear decision that they represent a threat to Moldova. So I try here to find, let's say, a golden middle, So from one perspective, the state has to secure itself, especially when you have a Russian threat. But from the other perspective, not to violate, the principles of democracy, freedom of speech, etc.
I fully agree. I mean, as I mentioned, you can be against the European Union, but you have to make the difference between making propaganda for Russian positions and being against the European Union. There is a difference, and this has to be key. And the fact that there is Russian influence, that there is Russian disinformation, not be an argument to shut down media if they criticize the government. It's just normal to criticize the government. We do that also here in Austria.
Going back to Austria, Austria actually is a wonderful country. And obviously, as I see, nowadays people are less sensitive towards Russian aggression against Ukraine. I see that in the beginning of the war, there was a really great movement by the ordinary people who were willing to help Ukrainians, support Ukrainians. And now, even though Ukrainians suffer from the absence of electricity, absence of water, sorry to say, but Europeans, they actually don't care. I mean, ordinary Europeans, they don't care about it. And we see Mr. Babiš, he was elected in Czech Republic also because he was very critical about Ukraine. So now if you want to be elected, let's say several years ago, to be elected, you had to support Ukraine. Now to be elected, you had to be critical of Ukraine. We see it in Poland, we see it in Czech Republic, etc. So parties have become very critical because the majority of people, they, become tired of war. So do you see here a problem because Russia continues its invasion, but there is a shrinking in the support of Ukraine?
I would not say that you have to be critical on Ukraine when you want to be elected. But the problem we face is that those who are pro-Ukraine are not strong enough in their communication, because there is no clear goal. Why do we support Ukraine? What is the goal of this support? Is it just to let them somehow survive on whatever conditions they have, minus 18 degrees and no electricity? Or do we have a concrete goal, what to achieve with this support, which means re-establishing full sovereignty of Ukraine, for example, to formulate such a goal. And in that, many politicians are not clear enough. They know a lot about disinformation. They know a lot about hybrid attacks. And when I talk in personal conversations with politicians, they tell me a lot of stories they know from their work, but they are not ready to confront the people with that. And I think this is a weakness. We have to stick to the facts, and we have to tell the people the truth. We have to tell the truth to the people.
And last question, we see that it's crucially important, especially in today's world, very dangerous, to speak in one voice. And unfortunately, European Union is lacking to speak in one voice because we see different points of view, and let's say countries, Baltic countries, have their own interests or perception on Russian invaders, Russian invasion, and Russian threat. And let's say Spain, Portugal, they have another overview of it because they are far away from Russia, etc. So a very divergent points of view. There is no one voice situation in European Union. And so do you see here actually from one perspective, opportunity for European Union to maybe to maybe turn to federation, or at least to align itself, align goals of separate member states in order to form a single, let's say, point of view, or at least the single policy towards the rest of the world? Or you see here a risk that European Union can be hammered by the states like Slovakia, Hungary, which are against, let's say, many European politics?
Well, one of our goals from the pan-European perspective is a European foreign and security policy. We know it's difficult because this is a question of sovereignty, and some countries, of course, say, oh, we will lose our sovereignty, therefore we don't want to give this competence to the European Union. But on the other hand, we also see developments into that direction for different reasons. Because many governments and also many people, thanks God, realize that the threat is coming from outside and not from inside. Yes, you will always have problems with Hungary. As Austrians, we know that from history. This is part of our common history. And of course, if this does not work, so if Europe is split up in national states, as Orban and others want it, then we are lost. And this has to be realized in the European Union.
I will ask one more question, if you allow me to do this. Now we see that European Union is turning their eyes on Central Asia, on Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, other states. So basically, they don't want to join European Union. We understand this. Armenia doesn't want to join European Union. Pashinyan just said this, that this will be in the very distant future. We have, let's say, a different now agenda. The same is about Azerbaijan. We see Georgia as well. So basically, we have South Caucasus and Central Asia, which don't want to join at this point European Union. So they don't want a visa-free regime. They don't want many things which members of this club get when they become members of this club. And actually, again, I want to say that this is a really great and huge advantage to travel visa freely to European Union and be part of a single roaming zone, and this is really a great achievement, I think. But still, for South Caucasus, Central Asia, this is not an issue because they have Russia, they have China, some other players. So what do you, as a pan-Europe organization, foresee, let's say, ways of cooperation, your level of civic society, to promote cooperation, bearing in mind that these states, especially Central Asia, they don't want to join European Union and they won't join European Union. We understand this.
If somebody would ask me if we should integrate Azerbaijan or Kazakhstan or whatever of these countries to the European Union, I would say no, because they have no European tradition. Now, that's different in Georgia and that's different in Armenia, and they have to make their own decisions. We have to be clear. Not every country can join the European Union because European Union is also based somehow on some common roots in culture. So we have to be clear that there one day will be a border. For me, I would prefer having the border between Russia and Armenia and not between European Union and Armenia, to name one of these countries. But it's the decision of these countries to go into that direction. We have to be open.
But regarding Central Asia, what do you think?
I don't see any perspective for them to join the European Union.
No, not in terms of joining European Union, but in terms of cooperation, maybe on the level of the civil society, because now we see that European Union has many projects in Central Asia. They want to invest in Uzbekistan, some other states. So you're the head of Pan-Europe, a very ambitious organization, and you're a very ambitious person. I'm very happy to know you for the last 5 years. Almost 6 years. So do you plan maybe just, in terms of expanding its activities on some, let's say, other states, which definitely won't join European Union, but at least it's nice to maintain a certain level of communication on the civic level between you and them?
We, at the moment, do not have any projects into that direction. As I said, we have to be open, not only for accession, but also for cooperation with these regions. I mean, European Union is an economic factor in the world. We export, we import. We need trade, and we need the understanding of other cultures to make friends and not enemies.
Mr. Kloucek, thank you very much for this interview, and I know that recently you organized an event where people from Ukraine came and they could share their view on the Russian invasion, Russian aggression against Ukraine. Actually, many disabled people nowadays, the war veterans, people who were injured by Russian invasion, and thank you. I mean, my personal gratitude goes to you for tracking the situation and trying to, to voice these matters which are crucially important for Ukraine nowadays. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dear audience, and I was very happy to host Mr. Kloucek. I would like to remind that he is the head of Pan-Europe organization, one of the most influential organizations in European Union on the level of civic society. Thank you very much, Mr. Kloucek.
Дуже дякую, до побачення.
You have very nice Ukrainian.